Dear chairs of counties and LGs, fellow Amazonians, I thank you all for honoring this invitation to this special draft, the federal draft, after the recess following the marathon nationwide county by county draft. Fellow warriors, there comes a season when we must be strategic, demonstrate greater mastery of our art as revolutionaries. We have had to progressively evaluate our methodologies, our strategies, our structures, and our operations in terms of our strengths and opportunities. Our core enemies, the Republic of Cameroon, have now doubled down on the strategy of viciously targeting our people at home and our support structures abroad. They are aided by anti-revolutionaries amongst us, One Cameroon traders, and some hired Amazonian Confucianists bankrolled by the CPDM Esingan Mafia. These agents of La République du Cameroon have made our task more challenging. We are using one hand to fend them off. These internal saboteurs have chosen to crash the same plane we are all in, claiming they are fighting against one Dr. Sako. We want to play a more direct role in terms of resource mobilization and management for a more efficient and robust coordination of operations on the home front. We are also hoping to drive in more resources into the struggle. Dear compatriots, let me use this opportunity to appreciate those that have chipped in to the Legal Defense Support Fund for our compatriots who have been indicted in the U.S. federal courts. The all for one for all mantra, which has been our rallying chant from the beginning of this struggle, is now tested in the courts of America by some who are determined to mischaracterize our liberation quest as a criminal enterprise. The scrutiny of justice will now be exposed for the world to see. I hope the U.S. court in its judgment will urge the U.S. government to call for a fact-finding mission to the southern Cameroon's Amazonia in order to ascertain the true perpetrators and enablers of war crimes in the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Fellow Amazonians, some people called us to get our position on the need for another protest march in Washington, D.C. to coincide with Paul Biya's meeting at the White House. As a soldier, you are like a farmer. You chose when and where to plant profitably. We also know that the world is not ruled by sympathy. It is governed by interest. We therefore must play by the rules, not by our rules. I don't think we cannot go out for another protest march at this time. I don't think so. I think, however, that recycling our unfruitful protest marches of 2017 and 18 cannot be our winning strategy at this time. We should opt for a smarter way to invest our time and resources. Our fight is for the recognition of the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. America is free to recognize La République du Cameroon or Paul Biya, but they should also recognize the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. That is our fight at the interim government. To deny us recognition, the enemy is trying to cast Amazonia as a criminal enterprise and not as a genuine liberation movement. The Esingan cabal has engineered the indictment and arrest of 3 of our comrades in the US, trying to steal a judgment from the court against Amazonia in favor of La République du Cameroon, then use it to sway American and other international opinions against Amazonia. The fight is on in court in Kansas City and in Minneapolis as we speak. That is where we should show up in our numbers, if at all, not in DC. Qualitative legal defense requires huge sums of money. For example, it costed us $14,000 to respond to charges brought against the former dismissed Secretary of State for Communication, Chris Arnold, in California court. This time we have 3 comrades to defend through trial, And all I hear is let's go and march in Washington, as if the State Department or Congress will then call the courts to ask them to free our people in response to a march in one street corner in Washington, D.C. Here is my take now on the issue of beer in the White House, amongst other African heads of state. If Paul Biya, who only yesterday refused to receive many diplomats in a today on the issue of Amazonia, suddenly can fly to D.C. to attend President Biden's invitation, why don't we rather insist on telling President Biden what he must tell Paul Biya? Yes, the security in Washington, D.C. will be tighter. You will not be allowed anywhere near the White House. A demonstration limited to one street corner in Washington, D.C., based on a non-local issue like Amazonia in America, with no significant press coverage, will be at best a meet and greet exercise with no impact on what Biden tells or does not tell Paul Biya. Instead, we can and should use this moment to call our senators and congressmen political influencers to communicate their disapproval of the presence of the world's #1 genocidaire in the White House. It is time we mobilize Amazonian Americans who are even registered Democrats to reach out to the Democratic Party's power brokers to ask President Biden to rebuke Paul Biya, and go on Twitter and tell the powers that be that our votes as Amazonian Americans also count in America. Then advise the Biden administration to use this occasion to tell Paul Biya what the French will not tell him. It is time we constitute ourselves into a 50,000+ strong active voting bloc, consequential enough in local politics, and our demonstrations will then be able to sway political power. For now, we must leverage what we have handy freely, and that is all the elected congressmen and women in various states who are moved by interest in our cause, to help us push the political establishment in Washington towards a more positive choice for Amazonia. I have come to tell you, ARS, fear not. Amazonia is our country. It is ours to win. Nothing, no one can take it from us, not even death. Let's win this war, whether on our feet or in our graves. Don't give up, General, Colonel, Captain, Foot Soldier. Don't give up, ARFs. Our hope is in you. Your enemies are many, but our victory is sure. Let's give today and help the federal government to effectively plan and coordinate strategic special operations to boost self-defense in our counties from today. Long live our ARFs, viva the Federal Republic of Amazonia, and God bless our beautiful country.